Hey everyone, it's Tutor Brian. I'm continuing on with the study techniques series, and I'm doing study technique number 3. In this video, I'm talking about what I call Imitate. It's a strategy that works well with study books. If you already have a study book for the subject that you're working on, and then the study book has example problems worked out already, this is the technique that would help with that, using that study book, and especially for subjects like math, if they have example problems that you can imitate. And how the technique works is I use example problems in the study book that have already been worked out, and I try to just imitate exactly what's being done on the example problem work on my own paper. And in the beginning phases, it's just plain copying. At the beginning, it's just copying the work and not so much thinking about what's going on, but just copying and trying to get the habit of doing the same techniques, the same strategies, and then trying to ingrain those habits and techniques into muscle memory. And eventually, over time, after copying the examples over time, you should be able to kind of get the hang of doing these type of problems where you can actually think about what's going on, and something will trigger in your brain that you remember, okay, to do that specific technique or strategy or whatever the study book had done. So in the first, this problem here from the study book is a systems of equations problem trying to be solved by elimination method. So this is the original problem. I'm going to write that on my paper. And in the study book, it said it was example 39, so I'll keep using that number as well. The original problem, 2x minus 3y equals 7. Underneath, 3x plus y equals 5, and the goal is to solve by elimination. So I'm just going to copy the steps that are done in the study book on my own paper. So underneath the original problem, they just wrote 2x minus 3y equals 7, and they got 9x plus 3y equals 15. They drew a line underneath, and then they wrote 11x equals 22, then they wrote x equals 2. Now if the study book stopped here, that I assume that must be the correct answer. So this is the work they did to solve this problem by elimination. Now I'm just going to keep copying the example several times from the beginning all the way up to the end. Okay, right now I'm not so much thinking about exactly what's going on and trying to wrap my head about what's the way to solve this problem. I'm just basically copying right now. And let's fast forward a little bit and say I had done this maybe four times total, and if need be more. Then I go back, and the next part of the study technique imitate is I try to model my work exactly almost as similar as possible to this work. This time I'm not going to copy straight from the work done already that I got from the study book. I'm just going to try, starting with the original problem, I'm going to try to remember from my short-term memory what the initial steps were to the problem, and as many steps as I can write down. Now I'm trying to remember what the study book did, because hopefully, since I copied it several times, 4 or maybe 5 times, I can kind of use my short-term memory to draw from what I remembered writing down next. So I'm thinking that I had done this first. It was exactly the same as the original problem, but somewhere along the line there was a 9 here. Somehow they got 9x. And then I also remember 3y. And let's say I didn't remember this exact number. Okay, this is as far as I got. And I remember there was a line though, and somehow there was 11 down here and 11x. But let's say I'm missing some pieces. I can't remember what goes here. I can't remember what goes here. All I have to do is go back and check the work I had done earlier when I had been copying from the study book, and what I'm missing is, okay, so all the way on the far right over here was a 15, okay, and then equals, and then 22. Now I remember they got really close to the answer right after this, and I see from the work that I copied earlier it's x equals 22. So somehow the original problem was changed in this middle step, and then these two somehow led to 11x, and over here somehow this side led to 22, and from there, the answer was not x equals 22. My mistake. It was somehow the answer was x equals 2. So from 11x equals 22, they got to x equals 2. So it is during these steps where I'm trying to imitate the work from the study book from my own short-term memory, not fully copying, but trying to do as much as I remember, and then looking back when I have to check. It is at this point when I start thinking about the problem, what's going on, and how did they do this, and how did they do that, and why, and so forth, asking those type of questions in my head. So if I try again from memory, and let's say this is after I had copied the initial work from the study book several times already. Now I'm just working from my own short-term memory, original problem, and then I'm trying to solve it and remember exactly what I had seen and what I had copied. Okay, 2x minus 3y, that did not change. So the first part didn't change, but somehow the second part changed to 9x, and then so on. But I need to know exactly why this changed. So if I look at the original 3x and 9x, well, that's 3 times as big. 3 times as big. So the next one, plus something, it also must be 3 times as big. And it was, I remember it was 3y. So they got from y all the way to 3y. That's 3 times as big. And the next part, 15, that is 3 times as big as 5. So I'm filling in the blanks of what's happening in this middle step. This equation here is times 3. Everything in that equation is times 3. So now it becomes 9x plus 3y equals 15. The next step, they drew a line underneath here. And usually when we draw lines, it's when we're trying to add stuff. So I'm assuming that what they did is add. 2 plus 9 is 11. And I remember there was an 11 in the work I had been copying. So yes, adding. And here, negative 3 plus 3. Well, those cancel. That means there's probably nothing here. And I remember, yes, there was nothing here. There's only 11x equals. And I remember there was a 22. Well, how did that 22 come about? Well, this line means I'm adding straight down. So 7 plus 15, yeah, it's 22. So I'm figuring out what exactly is going on, and I'm grasping the content better. Now, I remember the final answer was x equals 2. That had to come from some operation. How did 22 become 2? Well, what about 22 divided by 11? 22 divided by 11, yeah, it's 2. And if I did this side, 11x divided by 11, yeah, that's x. It's isolated by itself. X equals 2. That's the final answer. And this is the middle step that I had to piece together from copying so many times and trying to figure it out by the time I was using my own short-term memory instead of copying and trying to grasp the content thoroughly. So I'm figuring out what's going on, and this is the nature of the study technique Imitate. It just starts with copying from the study book first, the exact same steps. Copy it over, do it several times, copy, don't necessarily think about it so much at the beginning, but once you've done the copying enough times, you try to imitate what the study book did from your own short-term memory, from what you remember copying. So do this problem without looking at the study book or your own work previously. Just try to do it from your own short-term memory, and do that enough times where you think about and you're conscious of what's going on in the problem, and then eventually, after all of that, you'll be able to piece together all the steps and you'll understand exactly what's fully going on. And if that's not the case, where even after all the copying and you're doing it from your own short-term memory, and it's still not working, well, you remember you do have a study book, so most of the times they've laid out the exact solution in words, so you can read through and then go back and try again. So this is the study technique, Imitate. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next study technique video.